Before we start off, this video will contain spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker. If you have not seen it yet, you have been warned. The Rise of Skywalker, what a film! It was packed with so much content. Must admit, I had to watch it 3 times just to take everything in. There was just so much in it. Now on to today's topic. One of the biggest messages I've seen regarding the sequels and Star Wars as a whole under Disney so far is there has not been enough prequel content. However, this has begun to change now, with the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series starring Ewan McGregor, the Clone Wars season in Battlefront 2, and Disney bringing back the Clone Wars animated TV series for one last season also on Disney Plus. But The Rise of Skywalker did have a fair amount of it in it. In this video, we'll be going over all the prequel links and connections that there were in The Rise of Skywalker, so sit back, relax, grab a glass of water, and welcome to Star Wars Timelines. Now the first prequel related item we have on our list actually takes place literally right after the opening crawl. The planet where Kylo Ren is cutting down people left, right and centre is actually none other than Mustafar itself. As most of you will know, Mustafar first appeared in Revenge of the Sith, the same planet that Anakin and Obi-Wan had their duel on. The planet appeared again a few times in the Clone Wars as well. Darth Sidious used the planet as a base for the Force-sensitive children he kidnapped, and then it was then featured again as the base for the Black Sun. It was also known for being the host of Darth Vader's castle, featured in Rogue One, Vader Immortal, and several comics. In The Rise of Skywalker, the planet plays host to a Sith Wayfinder. Only 2 exist in the galaxy, and one must have them to venture to the planet Exegol. One of them belonged to Darth Sidious, the other one belonged to Darth Vader. After cutting down several cult colonists, Ren eventually finds his prize and leaves Mustafar behind. Before we continue, if you enjoy these types of videos, then please like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications. It would be much appreciated so that I can carry on bringing you more videos like these. Now, on to the next one. The next connection is shortly after this. When Kylo Ren arrives on Exegol and enters the temple, we hear Palpatine begin to speak with Kylo Ren. During this little exchange, we hear Palpatine speak the line, "The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities, some considered to be unnatural." This was the same line Palpatine uttered to Anakin in Revenge of the Sith while the two sat in the opera. In this scene, Palpatine was talking to Kylo Ren. In the Revenge of the Sith scene, Palpatine was continuing his seduction of Anakin to the dark side. This was a nice little reference to Revenge of the Sith and his time as Chancellor. The next connection is based on a Clone Wars era vehicle. The Rise of Skywalker introduces a new First Order Walker, the UATT Walker. It was the preferred First Order weapon to pacify cities. The vehicle is actually based off a Clone Wars era AT-AP, all-terrain attack pod. The AT-AP was featured in Revenge of the Sith during the Battle of Kashyyyk. There are some noticeable differences between the two. While the Clone Wars era AT-AP has 3 legs, the First Order UATT has an arm that doubles as a 3rd foot, allowing it to use it to walk but also move wreckage or give someone a little poke if it so wished. Our next connection takes place in Babu's Freak's workshop. If you were watching carefully, you might have noticed in the background a B-1 series commander battle droid that was deactivated. First featured in The Phantom Menace, this droid was one of millions used by the Separatists against the Republic in the Clone Wars. Featured in every prequel movie, as well as most of the Clone Wars TV episodes and an episode of Star Wars Rebels. It seems fitting Babu would have one of these perfectly intact. Unfortunately, we never see the droid active, but it is a nice little connection to have nonetheless. As well as the battle droid, Babu also has in his possession a WED-15 droid head. While this droid first appeared in The New Hope, the droid did also feature in Attack of the Clones, as well as several Clone Wars TV episodes as a repair droid for the Republic. The next connection we have is during the space battle of Exegol. Countless ships arrive to attack the Sith fleet. If you watch closely, you might notice several prequel-era ships. The first one of note is the Consular-class cruiser, first featured in The Phantom Menace and used throughout the Clone Wars animated TV show. In The Phantom Menace, Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi use it to land on the Trade Federation ship to negotiate the blockade surrounding Naboo. The negotiations were short. The next one we see briefly is a Republic attack cruiser, also known as a Venator-class Star Destroyer, first featured in Revenge of the Sith as well as countless episodes of the Clone Wars. The Republic used it as its biggest weapon to fight against Separatist ships. A few examples of these ships included Obi-Wan's cruiser, the Negotiator, Anakin Skywalker's cruiser, the Resolute, and Plo Koon's Legends cruiser, the Courageous. The next one is a Republic medical frigate, first featured in the 2008 Clone Wars animated movie and used throughout the Clone Wars animated show, as well as making some brief appearances in Star Wars Rebels. The ship was used in the Clone Wars as a medical transport, used to transport wounded troopers to medical bases. In Rebels, one of these ships was used in Phoenix Squadron, named Phoenix Home. However, this particular ship was destroyed by Darth Vader. The Crucible also made an appearance during the battle. This ship first appeared in the Clone Wars as a ship used by the Jedi Order for younglings to construct their lightsabers. In the Clone Wars, a pirate named Hondo Ohnaka attacked the ship to steal the younglings' lightsaber crystals. While the pirates were unsuccessful, they did capture Padawan Ahsoka Tano, who was protecting the younglings. The younglings were able to rescue Ahsoka, who then teamed up with Hondo to fight off General Grievous. The ship was destroyed in the Clone Wars battle, however Hondo Ohnaka salvaged and repaired it. The final prequel ship we see is the Ghost. This ship was the ship flown by Hera Syndulla and other rebels in the crew. The ship was featured in nearly every episode of Star Wars Rebels. The ship also made an appearance in Rogue One. The fate of these rebels is unknown in the film, as none of these characters actually make any appearances, but we can assume that the ship is flown at least by either Hera Syndulla, Chopper, or the son of Hera and Kanan Jarrus, Jacen Syndulla. The next connection is a small one and probably not worth noting, but I'm doing it anyway. When Palpatine is persuading Rey to kill him, he says, "Do it." He also says, "Do it" in Revenge of the Sith when persuading Anakin to kill Count Dooku. I did debate mentioning this in the video at all, but I could just hear Palpatine in my head saying, "Do it." So here I am, doing it. Like the video and subscribe. Do it. So before we get to the final prequel connection, I'm going to add in this little extra one. This isn't exactly directed towards the movies or the TV shows that have been listed as the prequels, but it's actually reference to the Knights of the Old Republic era, where the 3rd Sith Troopers Legion is actually called Revan Legion. For those of you who may not know, Revan was a monumental character during the Old Republic era, featured as the protagonist you play in the video game Knights of the Old Republic, as well as appearing in BioWare's MMO, Star Wars The Old Republic, and having a whole DLC dedicated to him called The Shadow of Revan. Darth Revan was actually supposed to appear in an episode of The Clone Wars, along with Darth Bane, but George Lucas eventually cut this scene due to story-related reasons. It has now been rumoured Disney is working on an Old Republic era project, however this has now canonised Revan's name. Other Sith made canon through these Sith Trooper legions were Darth Anedu, Darth Tenebrous, Darth Phobos, and Darth Bessalus. There was a legion named after a Sith called Darth Tanis, however neither in canon nor legends has this character been introduced yet, possibly hinting at being introduced in a future movie. For the numbers of these legions, we have the 3rd Legion, which was known as the Revan Legion, the 5th Legion, known as the Anedu Legion, the 17th Legion, known as the Tanis Legion, the 26th Legion, known as the Tenebrous Legion, the 39th Legion, known as the Phobos Legion, and the 44th Legion, known as the Dessalus Legion. Now, onto the final connections to the prequel films. These would have been nearly impossible to miss. In the final fight scene between Rey and Palpatine, Rey looks up beyond the battle and begins to utter the words, "Be with me." We then hear the voices of the Jedi before her. These include the voices of Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, Yoda, Luminara Unduli, Aayla Secura, Adi Gallia, Kanan Jarrus, and Ahsoka Tano. The first voice we hear is that of Obi-Wan's, reflecting the words we heard him in The Force Awakens. He speaks out, "These are your final steps, Rey. Rise and take them." We then hear Anakin and Ahsoka say Rey, followed by Anakin saying, "Bring back the balance, Rey, as I did." This is then followed by a few more voices when we then clearly hear Qui-Gon Jinn saying, "Every Jedi that has ever lived lives in you," followed by Anakin again saying, "The Force surrounds you, Rey." Mace Windu then joins in saying, "Feel the Force, Rey, flowing in you." At this point, all the other Jedi have joined in. For example, hearing Luminara and Unduli say, "Rise, Rey." Qui-Gon Jinn then whispers, "We stand behind you, Rey." At this point, Luke joins in, and together they encourage Rey to rise and face Palpatine head-on. Unfortunately, we never see any physical manifestations of prequel-era Jedi throughout the film and do only hear their voices. However, this is still a very nice recognition to the previous Jedi. These are all the prequel-related connections I could find throughout the movie. Be sure to comment if I missed any. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.